What's up, guys? Kyle here. I want to talk about something a little bit different. Game related, video game related. Briefly, my condolences and apologies to, or my condolences to the uh, passing of Nintendo CEO, who just passed away a few days ago. He's 56 years old, so very young. I don't know what the cause of his death is, but still a young age for him to pass. It's tragic. Moving on here, as it pertains, similar to kind of Nintendo, maybe not really, but I could say it pertains to their past of arrival. SEGA. SEGA had released a statement, I think through like a press release or something like that, over the weekend or a couple of days ago, acknowledging the fact that they have been, here, I'll just read it here. I'll just read it and then I'll get into it. And I quote, Sega CEO and President Hajime Satomi said sorry to loyal fans of the company after admitting that their trust had been betrayed in recent years. Satomi held his hands up and acknowledged Sega's failings over the past decade. And I quote, we did our best to build a relationship of mutual trust with older fans of Sega, but looking back, there've been some titles that have been particularly betrayed that trust in the past 10 years. Sega in the 90s was known for its brand, but after that, we've lost trust and we were left with nothing but reputation. For this, we'd like to win back the customers' trust and become a brand once again. He ended things on a positive note by stating that the company is hoping to win back its core fans with a new announcement this year. He says, since we're seriously considering quality, I can't make that promise for the time being, but I believe we will announce something for home consoles at the Tokyo Game Show. The Tokyo Game Show, I believe, is September of this year. I just want to say, I thought this little snippet of news was very interesting, for me at least. Sega to me was my favorite company for years when I was a kid growing up. I grew up in the original console war. Actually, the original console war was between Atari and Nintendo, but the real gaming console war was between Sega and Nintendo in the 16-bit era. I mean, hell, I still have my original Model 1 Sega Genesis 16-bit game console. I still have all the games and everything, and they work just fine. I mean, like, I have Sonic the Hedgehog Classic Collection, where it has, for the DS, it's an import of the first 3 Sonic games of Sonic and Knuckles, all on Nintendo 3DS. I got Sonic, the Ultimate Genesis Collection, where it has over 40 of the classic Sega Genesis game console games, from all the Sonic the Hedgehog games to Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Phantasy Star, Comic Zone, Rise Star. You name it, it's on here. This is a great blast from the past. If you like the 16-bit era retro Sega Genesis games like I do, I recommend picking this up for like PS3 or Xbox 360. It's like $20. So as you can see from these few things that I've showed you, I am a fan of Sega, of who they were, not what they are today. I have a love-hate kind of thing with Sega as a fan. I love Sega for what they were, what they used to be, because Sega, they were the shit in the day. Before Xbox was a blimp in anybody's mind, before Sony decided to throw their feather in the cap with the PlayStation in '95, Sega and Nintendo were the shit in the 1990s in the gaming world, and Sega was on top. What Sega has turned into now, today, compared to where they were, 16, 17 years ago, it's really sad. And what I feel like was even more sad is that it takes them nearly 2 decades to realize their mistakes and say, oh, you know what? We're losing our fan base here. Let's change that. I think that's horrible. I mean, I guess, better now, better late than never per se, that they've seen the error of their ways. I guess that's one bright side to look at it. But you cannot tell me that it should take you this long to, see the light at the end of the tunnel. I read in a similar article, but the translations were slightly different than what I just read here in this video, which was the original transcript that I was trying to look for, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I forgot the site. But in the original, another article that was similar to this, where the translation was different, the SEGA CEO even commented and saying that originally all they cared about was meeting the deadline rather than the quality, and that they've really shunned, or they've really lost that trust with the European and American audience. And here's my thing. Sega's core base will always be the Western audience. I know they have a fan base in Japan. They are successful in Japan. They have some arcades and stuff that they own, game slot machines and everything they own in Japan, which they do profit from. But in terms of consoles, Sega, they were stronger, and the brand was much stronger due to the Western audience. It really was, due to the strong campaigns and how they marketed their systems and everything else, with the exception of the Saturn. That was shit. But you get what I mean. So I find it interesting that he acknowledged that, it's the Western audience that was the core fan base for Sega, the real backbone for Sega, and for launching Sega off into into the company that they are today. And also I found it interesting that how he mentioned that all they cared about was deadline rather than the quality, and I think that enough in itself, by him admitting that really speaks volumes, and is a testament to all the crappy games that Sega have released over the last 10 years. It really does. For him to say that and admit that really says something. It's like the guy that makes the Legend of Zelda games, who's in charge of making the latest Zelda game that was supposed to come out for the Nintendo Wii U, but it got pushed back. I forgot his name. But when he announced the new Zelda game being pushed back, he said a quote, which I thought was really profound, from a great quote, but an interesting one at that. And it was that he said something along the lines of, a game that is delayed can always be perfected, and that it's a good thing. But a game that is rushed will forever be in turmoil or something like that. And it was something along those lines. And I really think that Sega needs to take that and apply that. I know there are certain deadlines and quotas that you have to meet, but if you're rushing the game and the game is shit, that game should not leave your house. It should not leave your studio. It should not leave your company until you get it right. Until you cross your T's and dot your I's. Sonic Boom was a horrible, horrible game. I never played it. I've seen the game. I've made early reviews of that game, or my early thoughts of that game, of the concept, before it even came out, a year in advance. On my other some older videos way back, and I said that game didn't look like it was going to do well, and I was right. That game did not do well. It was glitchy as hell. People had problems, and everyone was scratching their heads saying, what the hell was Sega doing not looking at this game and releasing it? Granted, yes, Big Red Button was the company that were in charge of the whole Sonic Boom thing, but Sega worked overhead, and they were overseeing Big Red Button making that game. Still, you cannot tell me that Sega could not have looked at that game when it was in developmental stage and still be able to push that game out to retailers. There's no way. And that shows the lack of leadership. That shows the lack of nonchalantness that's in that company. Now, at the end of the day, the big question is, can Sega win back the trust of their fan base, their consumers, their customers? Me personally, for me, I say no. I know it's never. I know it's never. They never say never. But to me, I think the damage has been so far greatly done by Sega that it's a little bit too late. They may be able to make a little bit of a comeback, but I don't think Sega would make the comeback as to what they want, as to what they once were. Because ever since the Dreamcast, which in my opinion, I think the Sega Dreamcast is not only one of my top three favorite consoles, one of the three best video game consoles, Sega has really gone downhill ever since, they've gotten out of the console business. And even if they got out of the console business, they still could have done well in the gaming business. In terms of their software, even though they've gone back on the hardware, they still could have produced solid software material, but they haven't. They've declined even in the software department. I know Sega bought out the indie company Atlas. Atlas is a pretty well-known not well-known, but it's quite enough people know about the brand. But it is a popular indie company in Japan. Sega just bought that company out. I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with that because I liked Atlas. I don't know what Sega's going to do with that. So it'll be interesting to see what they would have announced. For those who are probably getting their pants wet, I don't think Sega are going to enter back into the console market. I think that'll be even worse for them to enter the console market, especially with the reputation that they've put in people's mouths over the last decade. I don't know what they have to announce. I mean, September will be here before you know it. I think it's a little bit too late for Sega. But what do you guys think? Can Sega win back your trust? Do you still have faith in Sega? Again, like I said, I love Sega for what it was and what it used to be. But for as of today, I'm no longer a fan of that brand. You guys let me know what you think about this in the comment box as well. Comment, subscribe, peace.